Number 2 is a prayerful attitude. When you do these karmas, carry a prayerful attitude. We call this prayerful attitude as Īśvara Arpana Buddhi. Buddhi is an attitude as an offering to the Lord. An offering. Arpana is offering. Why should you offer to the Lord? Why should you offer? Well, because if I give Him, if I remember I am offering to Him, you should know the result will come from Him. Offering to Him means aligning with the law. I do my karma. The law is not away from the lawgiver, which is the omniscient being. And so offering to Him means aligning to the law of the world. He is the lawgiver. So it is about acknowledging the lawgiver. You put me in this position, O Lord, I will do my best. Whatever I do, let it be given you. Because you put me in that position, it belongs to you. This is a very beautiful attitude which drops your restless energy when you offer something, as an offering, prayerful attitude. And therefore, Lord, being karma phala data, being the giver of the results of action, I focus and offer it to Him. And the second chapter, 47th verse, makes it very clear. Karmini eva adhikaraha te ma phaleshu kadachana. So very, very important verse of the Gita for Karma Yoga. Very important because it says this adhikara, no? The word adhikara in karma is your adhikara. Generally, adhikara they translate in English books, if you see, they will say, you have a right to action. Right means you are entitled to do action. Generally, when we say entitled, moral entitlement, legal entitlement, we are entitled when we say, you have a right to do, means I am entitled to do. It's not about being entitled to do. Karmani adhikara means it is a vidhi, it is a moral order. It's a moral law that grants you the permission to perform an action. It says you have been granted the permission you are qualified to perform action. You have the eligibility to perform action. We always need eligibility, you see. Everything needs eligibility. To do Vedic study, we have this sacrament, Even Christianity, you have a sacrament ceremony, isn't it? A christening ceremony where you do a ritual that makes you eligible to study the Bible or something, I suppose. Here also we do Upanayana Samskara that makes you eligible to study the Veda. So this eligibility we need to understand. It's like a prerequisite. And it always involves growth. For example, when you say, before a baby is qualified to crawl, when is it qualified to crawl? When it can. The prerequisite for crawling is the baby should be able to turn on its stomach, isn't it? If it cannot even turn on its stomach, it cannot crawl. So the prerequisite for crawling is what? Turning on the stomach. This is called eligibility. No, it's a prerequisite. So like this and this prerequisite is very, very important. So physical prerequisite. For physical growth, there is prerequisite. For a baby to be able to walk, what is the prerequisite? Learn to stand first. Only if you can stand, then you can walk. The prerequisite for walking is standing. The prerequisite for crawling is turning over on the, on the stomach. So this prerequisite, one needs to gather to move to the next stage. Physically, I'm talking physically. Similarly, cognitively also. To join college, what is the prerequisite? Completion of high school for me to join college, no? That's for cognitive learning. Similarly, for emotional growth, physical growth, cognitive growth, for emotional growth, there is a movement. From a self-oriented play of life to adding somebody, a parallel play from a self-oriented to a shared orientation where ultimately you are oriented to the world. Ownership of oneness. Ownership from self-centeredness to oneness is the journey. And it is very, very important that this growth process from self-centeredness, from being a consumer to being a contributor, to being a giver, this process involves making sure that the earlier stages are complete. If you don't complete your earlier stage of growth, the next stage will be stunted. The next stage will have obstacle, isn't it? If the child could not stand properly and try to run, what will happen? It will fall. So in emotional growth process, we say the general rule is that the stage you have to, there shouldn't be any deficit. I must grow properly. A studenthood completed, I am ready for a marriage. Marriage, you marry and then go through the cycles of sharing, giving with one person. That teaches me lessons of extending it to a child, to two children. The other is more important than me. I have an inclusive ethic. In your joy is my joy. This way there is a growth, a process of growth. And it is very, very important. Marriage is, therefore becomes, engaging with the world becomes, engaging with society becomes a journey in my growth towards oneness. And so, let us understand this growth, if I do not do, this growth is the prerequisite in moving stages emotionally. And so, karmani adhikaraha means you have been given 5 scopes of activities, perform them, not for yourself, perform it as be a contributor. In all these 5, don't be a consumer, what I can get from my family, what I can get from the tradition, what I can get from the animal world, what can I get, don't make it egocentric, make it world-centric, make it universe-centric. And that's how you blossom spiritually, emotionally. And therefore, karmani eva adhikaraha is a very, very important, approach, because in this approach, we say this attitude of gratitude becomes very, very important.